has been a minute since I have had some good neighbor drama on this channel, let me tell you. So I'm excited for today's story. Was I wrong to turn away my weird neighbor? There's just something about neighbor drama. Neighbor fence? If you know, you know. Still no updates, you guys. This story came February 6th, 2026. Yesterday, after I picked up my son from school, my neighbor flagged me down in the driveway to ask if she could use my laundry machine because hers was broken. I said sure, because she's my neighbor. While she was in her house getting her laundry, I made grilled cheese for myself and my son. When she came over, I showed her where the machine was. After loading the machine, she came into the kitchen. My neighbor asked if she could have some grilled cheese. I might just be a hot dog, but I thought that was a ridiculous thing to ask. I told her I only made 2. She asked why I did that since I knew she was coming over. Because she was coming over for laundry, not grilled cheese. My son offered her half of his. I always put an egg in my grilled cheese. Hold on. I always put an egg in my grilled cheese sandwiches.
What the is going on?
Well then, isn't that just a breakfast sandwich at that point? She bit into it and was grossed out by the egg, which she should have seen before she bit into it. She then asked where my trash can was. My son said, I don't waste food, so she just handed the sandwich back to him. I told him to switch halves with me, and then I just binned the sandwich half when he wasn't looking. She asked to use my bathroom, which I of course agreed to. She came back to the kitchen after and asked if I had any refreshments. I said no, and I suggested that she wait for her clothes to finish at home. She asked if I was trying to get rid of her. I said we needed to get started on homework. She said she didn't mind. I said we needed to keep distraction to a minimum. She said, well, I know when I'm not wanted, and left. When she came back to switch her clothes to the dryer, she was very irritated. I apologized for hurting her feelings. She said it didn't matter, but she sounded angry. Then she left. I feel bad, but I also feel annoyed because who acts like that? That's bizarre. That's a little strange. If I'm asking to use my neighbor's laundry machine, I'm definitely not going with the intention of staying there the whole time. And then oh, feed me, give me your food and your drinks. It's a little bizarre. And it's only the beginning. So now, oh my gosh, I love when Reddit stories do this. We have a bunch of extra comments from the comment section from OP, which means original poster, just the author of the story. So we got a bunch of bullet points of things and additional information he was giving in the comment section. Thank you, Reddit. All right, so he's saying, I think she's in her 30s. Oh, maybe a hot early 40s. Also, she's married and has kids. Oh, I don't know why I was picturing an elderly lady. Next, he said, I actually just moved here last month. I think I've spoken to her maybe twice. This was her first time coming into my home. I also think it was strange, to be honest. She put me in an awkward position with my son. Obviously, I want to model for him to always be polite and welcoming, but there is a limit. It's more of a nuanced situation than a 5-year-old can probably grasp. Next, I completely understand not wanting to drive to the laundromat, but wanting to also be fed when your house, which presumably contains food, is right there is so odd to me. She wants to be my friend, or she wants to get with me because she's too old and too married for me. If you meant the friend thing, maybe, but what a weird way to make friends. That is very bizarre. Maybe she had good intentions. She's like, I'm just gonna try and bond with my neighbors today. Maybe she just really wanted some grilled cheese, which is also a breakfast. Can we talk about that though real quick in the comment section? Grilled cheese, okay? If you add an egg to that, is that still a grilled cheese or is that a breakfast sandwich at that point? All right, so the next update came 2 days later. We're at February 8th. I have a tiny update about my weird neighbor with the broken washing machine. She came back! I know 90% of you said to never let her back in my house, so you are probably going to judge me pretty heavily. In my defense, I was a little flustered by the whole thing. She waved me down again when we were walking up to the house. She said to wait because she had something for me. I waited because, I guess because I'm stupid, I figured she would just knock on the door anyway if I didn't. She came back with a pie that she said was thanks for using my washing machine. I said, thank you, you didn't have to. She said, let's go inside and try a piece. I said it was almost time for my son's nap. She said, great, we can eat pie while he naps. Oh, maybe she does like you? A lot of you said she might have been interested in me, and that was still in my head. So I said, yeah, and you should invite your husband over too. I was expecting that to deter her. Nope! She got very excited. She said, that's a great idea. Here, you take the pie in and I'll go get him. This is just getting worse. So at that point, I'm literally thinking, what the... My son and I went inside. I started cutting pieces of pie because at this point I felt like a victim of fate. She came over with her husband. I have never seen a man that looked as exasperated and embarrassed as this guy. We ate pie, and the whole time she asked me weird questions while her husband looked annoyed. Every once in a while I would say something and she would just give her husband a look. He kept pretending not to see the looks. The husband's probably like, I gotta go eat pie with our neighbor? Like, that is the last thing I want to do right now. After we finished the pie, she asked if I had coffee. Her husband said, honey, he wants to put his son down for a nap. Let's go home. She said, oh, he doesn't mind. Her husband said, he minds, while he took her elbow and started leading her out the door. She kept insisting that I didn't until they were outside. I gotta say, I think I'm in love with this guy. As weird and annoying as the whole thing was, I feel a lot better about my neighbor now. Some of the comments had some pretty crazy speculation that made me a little bit nervous. Now that I've met her husband, I'm pretty sure she's just bored, which is fine. It's annoying, but it's not creepy. So to all the people who were worried she was trying to seduce me or spy on me or steal from me, don't worry. Based on her husband's reactions, she is just like this. Okay, I was kind of right that she's just like a little social butterfly, and maybe her social cues aren't on point, you know? Although there's so much left to the story, so I'm not convinced that everything's good yet. All right, we're gonna read some more extra comments from him that he was responding to in the comment section. He said, I am divorced and I have a kid. She seemed really zeroed in on that topic. I think divorce is actually pretty common, but maybe not in her social circle. My son and I are in a minority group, not a super interesting one or anything though. I'm pretty sure her kids are teenagers. So maybe now that her kids are at the leave me alone stage, she wants a project. Based on her behavior and a lot of comments, I feel like this is most likely. Oh, you gotta be really bored to be doing all that though. Couldn't be me. Next, he said, to answer those asking what we were talking about while eating pie, mostly stuff about my divorce. I'm not salty about my divorce, so it didn't hurt my feelings, but she didn't know that. So I thought that it was just kind of rude or weird to ask about it. She wanted to know how long ago I got divorced, where we used to live, why I moved, why I have primary custody, what school my kid used to go to, what my ex-wife does for work, how she feels about not being the primary parent. Really nosy stuff. She also asked why we got divorced, which I didn't have to answer because her husband actually cut her off on that one. He said, that's a private matter, and she dropped it. Oh, it's still weird. This is weird. Is this weird? Or is this weird for you? Are you weirded out? Maybe she just really has like a pure heart, really good intentions, and she's just a little nosy Betty over there, and she's trying to make friends. I don't know. Next update. 13 days later, we're now at February 19th. I thought I was doing well, but I had only seen a small slice of what she was capable of. I knew it. I knew it was too good to be true. My ex-wife called me an hour ago to rip me a new one, essentially. My neighbor found her on Facebook. She's cuckoo bonkers. That's wild. And messaged her to ask if she was my ex-wife. She said she was. My neighbor asked her if she knew where I was currently living. She said she did. My neighbor then asked her why our son didn't live with her, his mother. My ex blocked her and then called me to yell at me. Oh my God, imagine doing that. Well now, is she okay? And I'm not being snarky when I ask that. Mental illness is a real thing, and I'm genuinely asking, maybe there's more there and she's unwell. That's crazy behavior. I am furious. I want to yell at my neighbor, but I don't want to be stupid. I apologize to my ex-wife, but she is still pissed. How can anyone be so entitled as to think they have the right to interfere in a complete stranger's life like this? She's just my neighbor. We're not even friends. This is beyond the pale. We've got more extra comments from him. Let's check them out. I did tell her my last name. She told me hers, and at the time, I didn't think it was weird. She also asked me a lot of questions about my ex, and I very stupidly answered them because I am a big dumb dummy. Oh man, well, you thought you were just having a conversation with her and her husband. My neighbor wouldn't even know my ex-wife existed if I hadn't very stupidly answered all of her invasive questions. To me, it's normal to tell your neighbors things about yourself. I never anticipated this. I'm nervous about making an enemy though. We just moved here. I need to be smart about this. I'm wondering if I should talk to her husband about it. I thought she was just bored and nosy, but this is a whole different kettle of fish. Good idea. He might have more insight too, to like her well-being, her, just like where she's at in life. Maybe she's done this in the past. Like, I don't know. You might just get more an understanding of her. Next, he actually asked someone in the comment section, do you guys think I can get a restraining order just because of an unsolicited Facebook message? I am ordering cameras now. Is Ring still good? I know a lot of people have stopped using it. What is a good alternative? Yeah, so now it's kind of leaning more towards like creepy. My ex sent me the screenshots, so I have the messages. Reading over the messages she sent my wife, that is the impression I get, that she thought my ex was unaware that my son and I live here. I know there were a couple of stories in the news not too long ago about a woman who was kidnapped by a parent and found 40 years later or something. Maybe she had that in the back of her mind and her imagination ran away with her. I really don't think that excuses her behavior, but I do hope that was what the problem was because the alternatives are so much creepier. So she was kind of looking out for your ex-wife because she thought maybe you took the kid and ran there and she didn't know. Next, he said the husband is cool. I think a conversation with him is likely to be productive. I don't have time this morning, but I'll knock on his door when I get home from work. I hope she doesn't answer. If she does, I'll tell her she crossed the line, but it will be very awkward. And then next, he said, I talked to him. I waited for his car to pull in the driveway. Creepy, I know, but turnabout is fair play. And I walked over to talk to him. I showed him the screenshots that my ex sent me. He looked very annoyed. He said he would talk to her and he apologized. He said she means well, but also that she watches too much daytime crap. Hopefully that's the end of it. So she was being nosy because she thought you were literally up to something crazy and illegal, and she was looking out for ex-wife and the kid, essentially. Maybe she's not cuckoo bonkers. Maybe I owe her an apology. Still though, that's still a little cuckoo. Anyways, the story continues. We are moving on. We are now at February 20th, 2026. So I did talk to her husband and he said that he would talk to her. I don't doubt that he did, but whatever he said didn't get through. My son and I were eating breakfast when I heard a knock on the door. I thought there was absolutely no way it could be her, but it was. I looked through the peephole and she was standing there with a baking tray. I just went back into the kitchen. I ignored her. My son wanted to know why I wasn't answering the door, and I said sometimes we're already doing something important and we don't have time for other people if it isn't an emergency. I said breakfast with him was important and it wasn't an emergency, so I wasn't going to answer. She kept knocking for what felt like an eternity. Her husband must have come out at one point because I heard him calling her name. She said, "I know he's in there. His car is here." I continued to ignore her. I think her husband actually came and pulled her off of the porch. That's what it sounded like to me, but I didn't look. Bugs Bunny is less Looney Tunes than she is. It doesn't end there. It does not end there. 2 days later, February 22nd. I need a sip of water before we continue, and you do too. Cheers. Drink your water today. PSA, you guys, this is just as bad, if not worse, than I remember when I was a kid. Okay? Do you guys remember taking Buckley's growing up? I remember it working really well, so I was like, I'm gonna do it. It can't be that bad as an adult. Like as a kid, you're a little, dramatic about it. It's worse than I physically gagged when I took it today. It works though, but is it worth it? Also, I got this at Dollar Tree. Crazy. I don't actually know if all of her baked offerings are terrible because I only tried the first one, but I'm just going to assume. Oh! The pie was terrible? Well, that sucks. Pie is tricky. Pie can be bad very fast. Dry, hard, like overcooked and burnt. Am I hungry? There's a lot of food in this story. My crazy neighbor is still obsessed with me and her kid. She pretended her washing machine was broken so she could come over and snoop. Then she wormed her way in a second time with that terrible pie. I did my best to avoid her after that, so then she found my ex-wife on Facebook and confronted her there. I want to be clear that I have never been friends with this woman. We are only neighbors. Her behavior is beyond strange and unsettling. She tried to come over again with that tray of something she baked and I ignored her. Last night, again, I'm pretty sure she knocked on my door. I did not check to make sure it was her, but I'm fairly sure. She had me so paranoid that every time I heard a rustling sound outside in the back of my mind, I wondered if it was her. Of course it wasn't, because no woman is going to creep around in the bushes at night, but that is how much she is stressing me out. I installed the doorbell camera this morning before I took my son to daycare and I went to work. It went off while I was tidying up at work and getting ready to leave. I saw her standing there with yet another baking tray. Honestly, take the baked goods though. They could be good this time. I told her through the app that I was at work. She said she wanted to talk to me and I said I'm at work and that I do not want to talk to her. She asked if we could talk when I got back from work. I said no. She said she wanted to clear the air. I said that wasn't necessary. I said I'm not upset, which was a lie, but that I don't want to talk to her or be around her. She said she was worried about me. She said my son and I got home late last night. Oh my God, she's watching you. It wasn't that late. It was around 8 p.m. and that my son looked unwell when he arrived. He was sleeping. She said it didn't make sense that I was at work because it's Sunday. Yeah, I work on Sundays, and that if something was going on, she can help me. Her tone and words were so condescending. Oh, see, that's where I'm going to be losing my patience. Like, this is getting annoying at this point. Like, leave me alone. Just butt out of my life and leave me alone. That is when I stopped being nice. I told her to please get off my property. I said I do not want her around me or my son. I said she was making me uncomfortable. She tried to argue with me, but I stopped responding while continuing to watch her on the app. She kept saying she just wanted to help. She even knocked on the door at one point. She left with her baking tray. I'm stressed out. Part of me doesn't even want to go home. She thinks she has the right to claim my space and my time. She treats my porch like public property and me like I owe her an explanation for anything in my life. It's infuriating. I might be making a mountain out of a molehill. I know she's just a bored busybody, but she needs to find someone else to take an interest in. I think the SPCA accepts volunteers. Ooh, our updates are getting very close to date here. We are all caught up at this point. The next update, March 3rd, 2026, 9 days later. It seemed like things were calming down. I have a doorbell camera and she was not knocking at my door as much. She seemed to be running out of steam. Last night, my son and I went to a party at my friend's house. Several children were there and the hosts offered a sleepover for any kid who wanted to spend the night. Once all the kids were asleep, us adults enjoyed the adult beverages. I left my son and my car at my friend's house to pick up in the morning, which I did, and then I walked home. After I got home, I went straight to bed. I was woken up by the doorbell camera. My neighbor was there. I ignored her, but I watched her on the camera. She said she knew I was home and that if I didn't answer, she would call a wellness check on me because I came home without my son. I told her through the camera that he was at a slumber party and I wanted her off of my porch. She asked why he was at a slumber party on a Monday night. I said it was none of her business and to get off my porch. She said she was going to call for a wellness check unless I showed her proof that he was okay. I walked out the back door and towards her house. She saw me when I was almost there and came running after me. I knocked on her door. She reached her front door before her husband opened the door and demanded I leave. The irony. Her husband answered the door and asked what was going on. I told him what his wife did and threatened to do. He yelled and cursed at her, asking her what was wrong with her and telling her to get in the house. She told him not to lower his voice, saying that the neighbors would hear. He said the neighbors already think she's a word that I'm not going to repeat because they see her knocking on my door all the time. She told him to stop and he told her to get in the house. She finally went inside. He apologized to me and said she isn't going to knock on my door again. I felt uncomfortable because of the yelling and the cursing, and I was also still tipsy. So I said okay, and I went home. So far, no knocks. We'll see what happens. Let's see, he had some extra comments. So before, I'm gonna check if there's any more updates because it's March 5th at the date that I'm filming this. So I'm gonna check real quick. But he answered a few extra things in the comments. He said, I can't afford to sell the house. One thing I have been considering is renting it out and using the proceeds to pay the rent on a different house. Then he said, I have all these videos on the Ring camera saved. And I'm definitely not going to come on here again. Oh, I'm going to check still. The first few times I posted, people were sympathetic and supportive of my unfortunate situation. Now I'm not getting anything but cruel. Okay. He said he wasn't coming back on here, so he might not, but we're going to do a quick check just in case, you know? He's just answering about how to make the grilled cheese with eggs. And said that the pie was apple pie and it wasn't good. Yeah, there's no other updates unless you want the grilled cheese recipe. Go to his page. All right, what a journey. What a freaking journey. The patience I would not have in that situation. Ooh, couldn't be me. The universe knows not to put me in that situation. Let me know your thoughts and feelings, you guys. I will see you in the comment section. I'll also see you here tomorrow, 3 p.m. EST. Same thing every day. See you tomorrow. Did I say stay classy and stay sassy? Oh my God, how would you guys know if I didn't say it?